Hi everyone, so this video, I'm going to be doing problem 15-5. So this one's going to be a little bit more intricate. So it's actually involving two different functions, and we're trying to use a variable or set up a variable and then perform some kind of calculation, then use that variable again in another function. So it's a little bit more extensive than the other problems, but it allows you to get an understanding that these variables can be used and reused over and over again. So let's start off with the problem one at a time. So let's see this. Initialize a function in one line using the variable x. Okay, and the function should be called myFunction. All right, perfect. So we'll set up a variable x, and it's going to be equal to a function called myFunction, and the function will take in the numbers 5 and 6. So we use those brackets around the numbers because we're going to be using them, and because it's initialized, we just put a semicolon at the end, and that's how you initialize it right now. Now it's saying return the answer a multiplied by b. So we have to set up the function where we're going to do the multiplication. So function, and we call myFunction because it's up here, and we want to make sure we find this function and do what we need in here. And the values, we'll just say num1 and num2. And let us do this. I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit so you guys can see everything. So there we go, num1 and num2, and we have to add the curly brace brackets so we can perform what we want in here, and we will return the multiplied value, so num1 multiplied by num2, and it'll show here, it says right here, return the answer a multiplied by b. So that is just num1, num2. Oh, it says a and b, so we'll just do what it says, a and b. So a and b. So if it says answer a multiplied by b, so it's giving you the values already, a and b. So multiply a times b, and it will return that right back up here. So 5 times 6, that's 30. So I'll give the value of, that'll be assigned to the value of x. And now we want to do the next part. It says write a comment above the function to describe it. We'll do that at the end. Let's first do this because it'll get a little bit crammed. So next, create a variable d and give it the value of 5. Initialize another variable z to the function called adding 5, making adding 5 take the variable x and d. So this is where we're going to reuse this x value up here, and it's saying to initialize another variable which is called z, and it's equal to a function called adding 5. And inside here we're taking the values of x and d, but here we need to create a variable d first. So we'll do var d is equal to the value of 5, and what's saying is take the variable x and d. So x, and then there's d, and then we that's just initializing it right now, so we put that all on one line. And what it's essentially saying is take this x variable that we just multiplied up here, put it over here so we can use it again in this other function, and now we're setting up this other variable 5, which goes in the d value here. So then this value 30 here gets passed to 30 here, and the d is still 5, so 5 times 30. We're going to have to set up the function first, function adding 5, and then it says, then inside the function, add the variables g and h. So g and h, so it says add them together, so return g plus h, we're adding it. It says right here, function, inside the function, add the variables g and h. After the function, console log out the variable z. Alright, So what it is doing here now is it's just passing over the value of the calculated value now to the variable called z here. So when we console log this out, console.log z, you'll see here node test.js, we get the answer of 35. So right over here, let me explain before we do all the commenting and everything. So right here on the first line, it's taking this my function here, giving it the values of 5 and 6. So that's here my function. And it's saying A is the 5 and B is the 6. So 5 times 6 in here is 30. It returns that value back up here. And it's giving 30, the value of x is equal to 30 now. And right now here, we're trying to assign another variable, d is equal to 5. But here we set up another function, so it's a new function, and it's called adding 5. So this adding 5 finds this function here, which is called adding 5. And we're passing this variable x, which has the value of 30 right here. And the d is right here what we set up here, which is 5. And right here, what we're doing in this function when it finds it, is we're calling it the values of the parameters are g and h, so we're just adding the two together. So 30 plus 5, that'll be 35, and it's returning it. What it's doing is returning it back to whatever this function was, where it came from. It goes back to this function area, and it's 35 here. So z is equal to 35, and when we console log out, that's why we have the value 35 right here. So now we want to add the comments to describe the function, / 2 stars, and now we have it set up for us. We do the at, right here, at description, function that multiplies, something like that, the first value, the second value, and returns the multiplied value of a and b, something like this. It's the multiplied value of a and b. And now that we set this one up, we also want to, because we have another function here, we have to describe this too. So right here we add the / 2 stars, and then make sure it closes right there as well with a star and then /. Now we have two parameters here as well, which are g and h, but we add a description first. So description, adding two values, and then g, the first value, and this is the second value again, and returns the addition of the first and second value or something like this. And it's just essentially describing what this function is doing, because now we know if we look up here, this function, if someone else comes here, they'll know that, okay, this function multiplies. And right here, this function, it's adding. Okay, so they know what to do with this type of function if they need to reuse it again. And this is how you properly document what is going on here. And it says add a comment to give the answer as well. So the single line comment 2 / 35, because that's what the output will be. And this is essentially how you do this problem here. So if I scroll back up so I can show you everything, let me minimize this. And I will put this down right there. So essentially we started off right here with the first function. Then we came down here, and here is the second setup for the other function. And now we are able to display the answer for this problem.